This is the Pensive Brothers Podcast. This is Aaron.
This is Elliot.
I hope all y'all are having a fantastical day.
Fantastical.
Yes, I know that I am, and I can tell you why.
Okay, you should tell me why.
Herschel Walker has lost.
Again.
Yes. Again, because the first time he did lose, even though he qualified for a runoff.
Yes.
So, the guy that has, quote, worked with law enforcement.
Why you say it like that?
Because what are we doing as a people? Why are we putting up people who literally have no idea what they're talking about? And I'm not the type of person to think that elites are the only people that should be able to run for office.
True.
But I like speaking for my race.
He's not
Herschel is like the worst of us. Like the worst of us.
Okay.
So
So I think Dad talks about this a little bit, and I think there's some truth to it. You know why it feels so aggravating sometimes when you're dealing with people who are like, "Oh, you're a black man. It must be so hard to be a black man," when like you're just trying to do like normal man stuff.
Yeah.
You like ever talk to like a white woman? I'm sorry, white women. Okay, I'm sure lots of you are actually wonderful people, so don't take this personally. But sometimes you talk to white women, and like the way they talk to you makes you feel like a pet.
Yeah. And almost as if it's surprising that you're not.
That you are a human man who is capable of taking care of all the same things as all of the other human men that they've encountered in a lifetime. Like, it's always a surprise. That kind of attitude presents itself in two different ways. One way is the way that we normally encounter, where it's like, "Oh, you're so articulate." And it just be like, really? Again?
Yeah, I hate. You remember we used to hear that as kids?
I still hear it to this day, okay? I still get it. I'm 30. I still hear people say, "Oh, you're so articulate."
You're 30.
30. I know I'm old.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate that. That. And then the other way that it presents is like this, "Oh, well, we got to give everybody a chance. Everybody gets a trophy sort of mentality." Like, that's where I feel like it comes from. Is that sort of, "Oh, well, I mean, listen, you know, he's a nice black man." He's not,
to me, in Herschel's example, and for those who don't know, Herschel Walker was the Republican Senate candidate in Georgia. He just lost in a runoff election to Reverend Raphael Warnock. And so now the Democrats are going to have a 1-seat added majority. So they're at, 51-49, I think it's going to be. So
he was like, "I was the unelected senator, and Georgia gave me that seat."
Yeah, that was my favorite line when when he won the first time. He said,
against who was he running against?
He was running against
it was a lady. I just can't remember her name.
No, I have to look her name up.
Yeah,
but he said, because she basically was appointed to that Senate seat. And he said, "You are the unelected senator, and the people are coming for their seat."
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh, listen, that was the line."
The problem is, I don't understand how it was ever really a competition in the first place, because I'm gonna be honest.
She had a lot of money.
Warnock, sure.
Oh, you talking about
no, I'm talking about Herschel.
Oh,
because Warnock got Warnock got a fire speechwriter. If it's him, this man needs to be writing speeches for the whole Democratic Party. Okay, get rid of everybody at the DCCC, especially that Sean Patrick Maloney guy. Get that guy out of here and get Warnock to write speeches. Because
Kelly Loeffler.
Kelly Loeffler?
Kelly Loeffler. It's L-O-E, so I always said Loeffler.
Yeah,
but
no,
anyway,
it's Loeffler.
Yeah, you were talking about the speeches.
But yeah, bro. His speeches be good.
He's also a pastor at the church Martin Luther King was the pastor of.
Yeah, you kind of got to be able to give a
right?
fire speech. I'm just saying. Listen, you can't be up there and the Lord said.
Yeah.
You gotta.
I personally think he's pretty solid. I would like to see him be a little more. I guess you could say oppositional to the Republicans, but like a lot of Democrats are just too nice for me. I want them to just say, "You are trying to take away people's health care, and you're accusing me of doing that." I want them to just say that.
Yes, and I will. Okay, so like there's some parts of it that I agree with you, but I want to talk about that in Georgia in particular, because I think Georgia is a lot like West Virginia, and West Virginia is a perfect example of how not to do what you're talking about, right? So in Georgia, because the electorate tends to be Republican,
Yeah,
right?
it's a red state.
Yeah. So
that has been flipped.
even when but like you got to flip it a certain kind of way because general Republican voters are only going to vote for you if you are pulling for them in certain kinds of ways and you're not fighting against them in other kinds of ways. So one of the things that Warnock really is going to have going for him is the fact that he is very religious. He's going to have a lot more of those traditional social values that like Republicans are intended. Like he's not going out here talking about let's change your kids and all that kind of stuff. Like that's not going to be his bag. He might vote for bills.
Let's change your kids?
Trans. Like that's a thing. They're
are any of the candidates saying that?
So no, but what Republicans are saying, especially in places like Florida and Georgia, is Democrats are trying to turn your kids trans. They're trying to put them in these drag shows and groom them and all this
Which
sort
is
of stuff.
nuts.
Which is kind of nuts.
Like nobody's doing that.
Here's the crazy part, okay? I don't know if you remember that we like regularly ran into like cross dressers when we were kids.
Yeah, I mean
like in the neighborhood,
people
at
do
school.
That.
Yeah, and it didn't influence. I didn't want to put on a dress. Like I was like, and we literally have a tradition at our school where we wear the clothing of the opposite sex once a year, and like that's not an uncommon school thing. Opposite sex day is like a normal thing at schools,
and it didn't like change us into different people.
So
and the thing is, this is where I think as a religious person, right, for me, where I differ from the traditional old school Christians, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because I see that as a more of an issue of liberty, right?
Yeah.
I stand on the idea of freedom. Yeah. So, yes,
bro,
I am a heterosexual male. Of course, I want my children to be heterosexual males or females or whatever. But I inherently, and this is what I explain to a lot of people, the reason why I don't want the government trying to say, well, it's better or you should be straight or you shouldn't be, is because, yes, right now, Christians are the majority.
But if for any reason that changes,
I don't, like, imagine a different religion trying to these same
mandate
people,
those things. Exactly.
Oh, well, there's a lot of Muslims in Congress.
Yep.
Or there's a lot of Hindus in Congress, and we think you guys should do what we want to do. So we're going to pass laws to say, they're not going to go for that. So, like, I just think people should just, if you don't want to be gay, you don't want to be trans, don't. And just leave the other people alone. And, of course, I don't think, as we all know, no one's forcing your kids to do that. But
that's kind of been the argument, unfortunately. Their argument is, they are trying to make our kids do this. They're exposing our kids to it super early. And it's causing them to be more susceptible to it, which I think exposure does breed more it becoming more common or more accepted. So like if somebody has, I feel like this is the way I am, I'm not gonna try and tamp it down. I'm just going to embrace it and accept it. And you're going to have some, I think this is who I am. Actually, I thought that's what I wanted, but really I'm just this other thing, which is, I think, is a legitimate conversation around like transness in general. Like, because there are so many permanent things that you're now changing about yourself. Like at some point we have to say, okay, how much permanent change are we going to allow a young person to undergo
before turning 18?
Before they turn 18.
Yeah, and I think that's that's where there's a reasonable conversation to be had. But at the same time, like the amount of people that even participate in things like puberty blockers is so tiny that and that's the thing that honestly, it's very effective like politically for the Republicans, but it drives me crazy. Is before the election, they are pounding that thing. No pun intended. Like they kill us with remember the caravan?
Yes.
The caravan. They're coming up from Mexico.
Yes,
we got to do the borders.
Bro.
And then as soon as the election happened, it was like
nothing. Crickets.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, don't worry about that.
No, we're passing tax cuts. So that's what we're here for.
Yeah, right. And so the same thing happened with the critical race theory.
Yeah.
So they did critical race theory over and over again. And then the Republican governor of Virginia won.
Yeah.
It's gone. There's no giant cabal of like critical race theory teachers all over the state.
Like they discovered that it wasn't really a problem.
Yeah, but the part that drives me crazy about that, Elliot, is how susceptible, how susceptible the Republican electorate is, and probably the Democratic too, to if you just pound, even if it's not true, even if it's not happening. But think about the school board meetings, like the craziness.
I think there's always been an issue where the people who have the most time to vote also tend to be the people who are most captured by like extreme advertisement.
Yeah.
So like,
and they're super susceptible.
bro, if you're already sitting at home all day because you don't have a lot of stuff to do, and you're intaking all of the ads that they're constantly paying for, like you can be convinced of some very wild stuff if you see it enough times. And like this is not a knock on even Republican voters, because like I've run into this where like I see something, I think it's true, I've run into it a whole bunch of times, I'm like, no, this is definitely true. But then I go and Google
you research it,
and then you start looking at the facts and you're like, man, that's not really true the way they talk about it. Like it don't, and like sometimes it's that it's not true. A lot of times it's just that it's more complicated. Like this is always kind of an issue when you start talking about like policy, because when you get down to the nitty gritty,
you know, I hate unnuanced discussion,
bro. And having a nuanced conversation takes like 4 times as long. It's so good to say. It's so easy to say, oh, we need Medicare for all, because Medicare for all like has a lot of viable options. But then like how that works out, where we currently have corruption in the system, we have like crony capture and stuff like that. Figuring out how you work around that to try and prevent that from becoming the next like corruption scandal,
right? The next scheme being implemented within it.
Yeah, but we got to get to the point where we're having that conversation and not like, oh no, we don't want to be socialists.
Yeah, and that is the unnuanced version of that discussion, where they just basically say, oh, how are you gonna pay for it? How are you gonna pay for it? How are you gonna pay? It's like, bro, right now we have they're trying to sign an $875 billion defense bill for next year.
It doesn't surprise me.
$875 billion. Elliot, remind me if I'm tripping. Didn't we just end a war? One of the multiple wars we're in. We just ended it. We literally actually ended it. Like, he pulled all the troops out of Afghanistan.
When we end a war,
how do we not get any savings out of that? Like, how is it possible?
Bro, imagine you finish paying off your car and you look at your budget and the number has not changed. You were still spending
No. It went up. Like, and not only did it go up, the amount of money that you're putting into car notes is what went up.
Went up. Specifically, hey, the bill for this car that is definitely paid off now is $400 a month now. It was $200 before. Yeah. It's $400 now.
It's crazy.
But that's what happens. I don't think that there is actually accounting going on when it comes to our military.
Oh, no, wait a minute. So let me help you with that. So no, I work for the military.
Okay, hold on. Is this stuff you can say? Or
no, this is stuff I know. So they've been trying to get an audit of the Department of Defense for years, that every single person in the Republican Party is like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Every person in the DOD is like, no, we're not doing that. Because the amount of waste.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Elliot, if they ever got a real, that's one of the only organizations in the government that doesn't get audited at all. And so if there ever was an audit, Elliot, the amount of waste, it would be comical if it wouldn't be so sad.
Here's the
and I want a strong defense, but like, come on, man. We're just throwing money at it at this point.
I think everybody wants a strong defense, but a strong defense doesn't mean being stupid with the money. And I think that's kind of been the problem, because I don't think it would just be waste. I think there's a lot of corruption that goes on. There's a lot of stuff.
Because I can promise you, the wages aren't so high that we need that much money.
It's not what. So the question
is buying ships and all type of stuff from Lockheed Martin. And Boeing.
I'm sure there's lots of like R&D stuff that's going on. I'm sure there's lots of like genuine, legitimate reasons that lots of this money is being spent.
No, I think most of it's being used. But
being used. But then I'm sure people are also juicing stock. So they're doing stuff like, we're stroking a check to Lockheed Martin for R&D, and then Lockheed Martin is taking that check and just doing stock buybacks with it.
Right. And executive bonuses with
executive bonuses and stuff like that. And a lot of times the bonuses are just more stock buybacks. Like that seems to be like, hey, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you another stock option package, and like we're not giving you any money because you can tax that.
Right. And that was the Elon Musk thing, because he's not taking a salary. That's why he's not paying any. Yeah. So basically,
they all do it under the guise of, it's altruism. I love this company so much, I'm not gonna take a salary.
Yeah, I don't need any money out of them.
You're just gonna take stock.
Like Elon Musk, there's this new scheme these billionaires are doing where they take a loan from a bank.
Yes.
And they basically are paid by taking this giant loan from the bank, saying, hey, I got all this stocks and stuff, so I got money.
Yeah.
And they pay their normal day-to-day bills with that.
Yes.
But they're not like, so anyway.
It's actually a problem because our entire economy now is at the point where it's like running off debt. And if you're not running a little bit of debt all the time, it's almost like you're cut out of the economy. It's very difficult to run debt free at the higher levels of government. It's very hard to run a business debt free these days.
Yeah.
The guy Louis Rossman talks a lot about how when he's trying to run his business, how much he has to fight like normal government services just to get the stuff, because he was in New York before.
Right.
And New York is a particularly nasty case, but I feel like a lot of places have the same issue, because I know Portsmouth is like this, where like trying to get a business started here is incredibly difficult because you have hoops after hoops after hoops that you have to jump through. And all of the people in our family who, you know, try to start businesses hate dealing with Portsmouth City. They hate dealing with other city governments. So like that, I think is something else we probably...
regulation is difficult.
Yeah.
Like it's not always bad, but
it's not. And most of the time, it's not bad. I don't think regulation is bad. I think what ends up being bad is more like the licensing and the like. Oh,
the bureaucracy.
Yeah, and it's not even bureaucracy, because I think you need bureaucracy in order for like these larger things to function. Like you need a guy who says, "Hey, I need these forms so that I can send it over here, so
and I need to make sure that this is legal and this is safe, et cetera, et cetera."
Exactly. So you need some amount of bureaucracy, but like it has to, like, it needs to be balanced.
Yeah.
People should not be shouldn't have to fight so hard to get through the bureaucracy that it makes an undue burden on people to be able to actually make plans to execute on them.
Yeah. So, now, next part of this discussion, we're definitely going to jump over to your boy. He's not your boy. I'm just kidding. Donald Trump. So, Mr. Orange Man has announced he's running for president again. He couldn't hold it. You know, he couldn't hold it. He was like a guy that has to pee really bad. Like, the fact that he waited until the week after the election, like, you know, he wanted to announce, and they begged him. They were like, please don't. Please don't. Please. You're already ruining these elections for us, man. Just
You already took all the money. You can't let us have like a week or two so we can clinch these last couple of seats.
Can we take a moment and just discuss the fact that almost every single Trump-backed candidate that was crazy lost? Almost all of them. All the ones Trump, like the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania, the governor of Georgia, the governor of Texas, the ones he was against, they all won.
You talking about Make America Great Again?
Yeah. They all, like, shoot, Lauren Boebert right barely with the skin of her teeth won. And I don't know if they're going to a runoff or not, but I don't think so. I think she might have won her seat back. But most of his Trump won the election in 2020 people.
Yeah,
lost almost every single one. Carrie Lake was the one I was nervous about.
Listen, it's funny. I feel like the Republican Party is so timid about some things and they're so brazen about others.
I know, they're scared of that dude, man.
Listen, they were really timid about like trying to get out from under Trump, but then they kind of got a green light to trash him a little bit. And Fox News has just been like, yeah, why don't you guys want Trump down here? They did like this whole interview expose thing. I saw a whole bunch of clips on
Trump around.
Yeah,
like, but the governor of Virginia when he ran,
because they recognize Trump is very toxic to your average voter. Yeah. So your normal person is like, nah, that guy is slimy and crazy.
Right. And you're not trying to get the 30% of the country that loves Trump.
Right.
They're going to vote Republican regardless of who you are.
Right. No, you need to get the regular mid-tier voter, but you actually have to be offering something. And that's interestingly enough, we also got to talk about this railroad strike thing too.
Yes.
Because I think it's really interesting how some of the Republicans, just to kind of poo on Biden a little bit, like they really just wanted to like rub his nose in it, but like they got to the right answer the wrong way around. But they didn't vote for the single day bill, and they voted for the 4-day bill with some of the Democrats who voted for it in the Senate.
Very few Republicans voted for it.
Well, not enough to let it pass, of course.
I know, but I don't want you to give the Republicans too much credit. They don't want them to have paid leave at all.
The reason that I bring that up is because I think it's interesting that you have people who are making the correct case for a Republican reason for a bill that I think would be really positive for Republicans. And I think if we can get more Republicans to make arguments in this vein, even if they are doing it like self-servingly, like politically minded, if we can just get them to make the right arguments for why
I don't
there's
care
a
how you get there.
We can get some stuff passed that I don't, because the fact that you had Ted sleeps with the devil, I mean his wife Cruz.
Yeah, Ted Cruz is like the worst person in America. I remember in 2016, I was
Mitch
wondering.
McConnell is the worst person in America. Ted Cruz is his nephew, okay?
Yeah,
they
Mitch
just live next door.
Like, if you had to vote for Mitch McConnell or Ted Cruz should be president,
I'm taking the Gideon route, dog.
I'm moving out of America. Like, I'm taking the ludicrous route. I'm moving out. Like, I don't have time for this.
Listen, I'm changing my name to Snoop Lion. I'm moving to Haiti. Okay.
Haiti.
Hurricanes here I come.
If you're gonna move, what?
Listen,
Specifically, I love Haiti.
If the best choice,
if
the best choice for this country is either Ted Cruz or Mitch McConnell, obviously that's not where I need to be.
Yeah, I'm going to.
They're gonna take me out.
No, I'm going to Canada.
Listen, right? I'm gonna take my shot with Justin Trudeau. Okay,
yeah, I'm going to Canada.
Listen, I'm gonna go up there. They're gonna tell me what pronouns I get to use. It's gonna be cool.
Just get a couple extra scarves. I'll be fine.
Yeah, listen, it'll be lit. You learn a little French so you can stay in Montreal.
Yeah.
You know,
go over to Quebec. Ew.
Beck.
Anyway,
that's how you say it, right?
No, it's not. But anyway, all right, back to the railroad strike.
But
so, of course, my man's Bernie was, of course, leading the charge as always.
This man was not happy.
I mean, he's like 1,000 years old, and he's like the only person leading the charge.
And it's crazy.
Is Elizabeth Warren?
Where
is she?
That's my question.
Because I was told during the election she's Bernie Sanders, but a little bit younger, and she's a woman. Where is she?
Where is she at?
She's not been leading on any of these issues, and it's driving me nuts because. You still mad at her?
Mad at her?
Yeah. The whole Bernie said that women can never be president or whatever she said.
Mad is too strong a description.
Disappointed.
Yes. I was disappointed that she has become a politician like all the other ones. Yeah. Because that's not where she started. And like when I look at people like Elizabeth Warren, when I look at people like Katie Porter, who start out as professors with like a pet social issue that they're really fighting for, and then they morph into like the standard politician thing because now that's their job.
Who's just better than average.
That it makes me really sad, and I understand how you get there, bro. And I think this is probably why we need some sort of like max term, like after 10, 15 years, like, okay, that's all you can do as a legislator. Because I do think after a certain point when being the politician becomes the job, you stop thinking about like the people who are behind all the stuff you're doing.
Yeah,
or maybe you're still thinking about them, but you get so far. Yeah, exactly. You get so far removed from
constituents.
Yeah,
you don't remember like a lot of these guys who are taking all this money from these corporations. They don't remember what it's like to you make a paycheck and your paycheck is basically just enough to be broke. They don't know what their constituents are truly going through.
Yeah, and I think the weird thing is I don't know if it's that they don't remember what that's like. I think they genuinely believe because their lives are improving that the majority of people, maybe not even everybody, but their sense of where most people are at, it's a problem that we have, right? Mm-hmm. So like our lives, my life, I can't speak for everybody, right? My life generally has been on an upward trajectory. I've worked really hard. I've moved up in the jobs that I've had. I've like made more money year after year, but that's not everybody's reality. Like I've been really fortunate that my increase in money making capability has kept up with all of the increases in like prices of everything. Having a car, getting gas, being able to insure my car, all of that.
Paying for a mortgage.
Yeah, all of the tertiary costs of just like existing and being able to like function as an adult, like keep going up. And I've been able to outpace those increases. But a lot of people, like if you were working on a teacher salary and like your teacher salary was locked in like 10, 15 years ago, like it's going up, but it ain't keeping up with all of the increases and everything else. So if you're not doing the millennial thing of, okay, every like 3 to 5 years, I'm changing careers because if I stay in that same career, they're not going to pay me enough money. Yeah. Because if you notice, everybody who's stayed in a job for longer than maybe 5 or 6 years is not able to command as much money as somebody who's changed careers 3 or 4 times in that, like, in that same period.
I hadn't really thought about that, but you are correct. It's most people in our generation are kind of all over the place because, a lot of times I try to explain to like older people, it's very difficult to have wages that are half of the people that are twice as old as us. Right?
Yes.
Working the same type of job, but have bills that are the same. And so a person now, let's say you're buying a 3-bedroom regular size house, not massive, a normal 3-bedroom house.
Right.
Well, right now with these high interest rates and the cost of houses, like you're paying $1,500-$1,600 to buy a house a month.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, when you're paying the same mortgage as a person that 15 years ago bought a 6-bedroom nice house for
the same
$1,600
price,
a month.
right?
Like, but you're expected to survive on less money. Student debt is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, shout outs to Biden for trying.
Yeah,
he's trying, and they're still trying.
He's giving it a shot.
We'll see what happens. But that's the thing. And so I think I was expressing to someone today. We were discussing the issue of theft in grocery stores right now.
Yeah, and how it's like crazy off the charts right now.
Now, I think yes, theft is bad.
Yeah,
some people are going to steal no matter what. Like, I got it, but I think we can't have that discussion if you're not gonna also have the discussion about the despair that a lot of people feel. So I think part of the discussion, yes, prices are very high. People are struggling. And so one thing, the discussion was about Walmart and how people are stealing from Walmart. And I'm like, well, how about they stop not employing cashiers and bring the cashiers back?
Yeah.
They bring the cashiers back. A lot less stealing will be going on.
Listen.
And it's like, no. He's like, no, you can't do that. It's their money. They can do whatever they want. People should just raise the penalties.
And this has always been the thing that frustrates me about this conversation, right? Because I agree. Stealing is bad. And like when people are shoplifting, it increases the cost overall for everybody. It's just like the uninsured motorist issue. Yeah. Like if there are a bunch of uninsured people driving around getting into accidents, it causes car insurance to go up for everybody. There's a bunch of uninsured people in the hospitals. It causes the healthcare costs to go up for everybody because it's not being paid for, so they're constantly paying out this. Oh well, we didn't know this was a bill, like upcharge. Yeah, basically.
Like we have to make more money.
And retail stores have the same thing. So if they have to price out how much theft is going on into like how much everything costs, it's gonna be a problem. Right. But these mugs keep cutting costs in all of these other places,
right? And
they're saying, oh well, we need to do this to cut costs, and the prices of the actual inventory always goes up. It only ever goes in one direction.
Right. So you got less workers. You have like far less to no cashiers. Some stores, don't have cashiers.
Don't have any cashiers.
So, like I said, and he's basically telling me
they don't have janitors. Right. They don't have. They oftentimes don't have people working in the back doing stocking and stuff because those people just come in on work a night shift. So
it's the same people that are doing both.
That are doing all of the other stuff. So it's like your meat cutter is also the guy who's doing stocking the shelves. Is also the guy who's cleaning the bathroom. Like they're cutting down on the staff so much, so that they can keep dragging in more and more of that profit up to the top.
Because there is a fiduciary responsibility to maximize profit and have 15% return every year higher than the year before.
True.
Which drives capitalism to be cannibalistic on itself.
True. Well,
and that's the thing. I'm not a socialist. I believe in capitalism, but the problem that we have is we have become so money driven that we are beginning to get rid of quality and sensible pricing, sensible, affordable economics in the service of enriching the richest and the biggest corporations.
Well,
so that's the problem I see.
And I think you have to there's two simultaneous issues going on, right? So everybody has this corporate capture issue, or maybe it's Wall Street capture issue, where instead of, hey, I'm trying to run a business that sells things, so I need to make as good of a business that sells things as I can. They're more like, hey, I need to make a business that allows me to pay this guy that I borrowed money from. So all of the paradigm of thinking about how you make a better business and make money, it has no... you're not in the world of how do I make a better business. You're in the world of how do I make more money. And I think the difference between those two flavors of thinking when you're trying to run a business is very, very profound. It's kind of why everybody loves Chick-fil-A, or at least, they do right now, because some things about Chick-fil-A are changing. And it's very...
I saw a tweet yesterday that was going crazy on
about
Twitter.
What?
About somebody tweeted, Chick-fil-A is kind of falling off. And a bunch of people were retweeting it.
But here's why. The reason is because everybody who was running Chick-fil-A's before was like, oh, I want a small business that I can really care about. And Chick-fil-A was all about, hey, if you want a small business, come, we'll show you how to run it. We'll give you all the tools you need, and you'll make a lot of money being able to run your small business. Well, a lot of venture capitalists got hip to it, and they were like, oh, Chick-fil-A
just
make a lot of money,
but everything.
Well, sure,
housing.
But this is what venture capitalists do. They're like, oh, somebody over there has an idea that makes money, so I'm going to take that. I'm going to buy up as much of it as possible. I'm going to cut it down as much as possible, reduce it to the bare bones, like as bare bones of an operation as I can, extract as much wealth out of it as possible until it collapses. And then I'm going to go on and do the same thing somewhere else.
Yeah. And that's the thing that sucks the most about Walmart. Right? Because what happens with Walmart is Walmart will come in, have these super low prices. It's open all night. It has every possible product you could possibly think
of.
It's
a weed. It's a weed of a business. Yeah, it comes in.
You people in the community then fall in love with it because
sucks up all the money.
Yeah, all of the small businesses, the small places that sell this and sell that, shut down because why would I go there and spend $8 when I go to Walmart and spend $6?
Same thing with Amazon. Amazon's doing the same thing.
What does Walmart do? Walmart hires all these people. Then it slowly hires less and less. They open less and less. Yeah. Right? Now with COVID, it was the perfect excuse. Now they're not open all night.
Layoffs.
They hire less people. They don't have cashiers.
Yep.
Everything is self-service. And so what happens is over time, like you said, they extract as much as they can until it's the bare bones. So Chick-fil-A. What's the worst part about going to Chick-fil-A now?
The line.
Yes. It's because remember you could go to Chick-fil-A back in the day and it'd be 40 people in there working?
Yeah.
Remember we worked at Firehouse and it would be like 3 of us.
And to be
you go
fair,
to Chick-fil-A and it's like 40 people. It's like 40 people.
And to be fair to Chick-fil-A, a lot of them are still like that. There are a lot of people working, but
there's not as many people to keep the system as efficient as it used to be.
Well, and
you can go to Chick-fil-A and order your food. And I remember when being back in the day, you order your food and it'd be 6 lines.
Yeah.
But before you even paid, they're already giving you your tray with your food.
Yeah.
It's 40 people, but it was more efficient. Now you've talking instead of 20 people working in there, you've got maybe 13 people.
Well,
and you got to wait in the drive-thru for 20 minutes.
But here's the problem, okay? So, one, a lot of those Chick-fil-A's, I imagine, are probably having a hard time keeping staffing up because most restaurants run like razor-thin labor margins anyway.
And they don't want to pay anybody.
And they don't want to pay anybody because you remember what it was like when we were working at Firehouse. Firehouse was a decent place to work,
really
but they were militant about keeping the labor numbers down. So, hey, listen, we got too many people on the clock. You got to cut somebody. Hey, we got too many people on the clock.
No, we can't pay you more an hour.
No,
right. Yeah.
So, like, if you're already running margins like that, you don't want to have 40 or 50 people working if you're not getting business like that. And most Chick-fil-A's are, but you got an owner who's still trying to make more money to accommodate for the fact that everything's more expensive.
Right.
So,
that's also true.
I think that there are natural forces that will become bad incentives for business owners to do things that make their businesses worse in the sake of just staying alive and getting through the day. Right. And I think
which sucks.
But that's what government's entire purpose is supposed to be to guard against countries, weather, and unforeseen consequences. Okay, so if an alien came here and blew up a city, the government is supposed to step in and fight the alien, rebuild the city, and make it so that no other alien can show up and blow up a city. That's what government is supposed to do. So if you have businesses who are imploding because they have all of these market forces and they're not responding appropriately, what they should be doing is enabling everybody to have enough information to respond appropriately and discouraging things that are actively harmful to the economy, right? So all the fact that we have so much consolidation at the top when it comes to media companies and telecom companies,
that's a huge issue,
bro. It just shouldn't happen. The fact that they can even and it keeps happening.
Sinclair Media Group,
bro.
That's the biggest one.
Discover and it's like Discover and HBO or something.
Yeah, they're just buying each other.
Yeah. And the problem is they're buying each other, and then they start selling off all. There's no reason to not make this stuff public domain. Because what should be happening is when you have a merger like that, all of the stuff that they're like, hey, we're not gonna put this up to stream anymore. The government should say, hey, listen, if you don't have an active copyright that is in use where people can access this because you're selling it, you don't get to keep the copyright for that. Somebody else can now.
So have you seen this new thing that's going on with Meta, the Facebook thing, where basically they're potentially going to stop allowing any news discussion on on Facebook at all?
I saw a headline about it.
So basically, what's happening for those who might not know? Amy Klobuchar, who is a senator. And,
no. I do remember.
She put up this bill.
I did. Yep. Keep talking.
So she put up this bill that basically is going to have the government like stepping in on setting prices for ad revenue for news outlets.
Okay.
And so basically what Facebook is saying is if the government is going to try to be involved in our ad revenue pricing, how much you can get paid at all,
then
we're just going to completely get rid of it.
And okay, so
and I don't know if it's going to pass though.
I don't think it'll pass, but
there's a good chance it's going to pass.
Well, you're right. There is a good chance it'll pass, but I don't know if it's going to pass for two reasons. One, my understanding of the bill, because I do remember I watched a couple videos and actually read up on it.
Yeah.
My understanding was that it allows media companies basically to like joint.
Yes, the collective bargaining.
Yeah, collective bargaining.
So basically,
that's it. That's what it was.
News companies like CNN, for example, if they want to run their videos on Facebook,
they can get with Fox and MSNBC.
Try to bargain with Facebook by getting together and saying, no, you're paying us whatever. No, we want to make this amount.
And what's funny is I can't remember. I think I saw a TYT video on it, and then I actually read the bill.
Yeah.
And Cenk made a really good point where he was like, I think it's weird anytime the government wants to get between two businesses who are doing something that they're not actively discouraging them from doing. So like, the reason the government needs to be involved in mergers, especially at the highest levels, is because we do not want mergers to happen.
Right. So they're consolidating too much of our economy into small of an area.
Right. Into one interest group or into one person's hands. You can't have that much of a market share or that much of an economy be like in one group's hands because they're going to jack it up. It just happens every time. But then I don't think companies should not be able to collectively bargain.
Not on the prices that Facebook is going to pay
companies should not be
company.
Companies should only be able to collectively bargain when they actually have the power to collectively bargain. I.e., if Fox News and MSNBC and CNN want to get together and say, hey, if you want our news, you have to get it all together and we get to tell you what the price is. Like, y'all have to come together and make a decision.
It's crazy.
But this bill is just like the whole issue with the railroad workers. It all ties back together because it seems like, and I was hyping Biden up a whole bunch before because he was really shaping up to be like
pretty solid. Yeah.
But now I'm kind of seeing,
I'm not feeling this railroad thing.
And I'm seeing where the paradigm is. So where their brain is at is, oh, well, we need the economy to keep going. So we're just going to.
Because I get that perspective. It's true.
No.
Because if the trains do stop, right? The railroad strike happens.
Yeah.
Yes. I do think that's going to destroy a lot of parts of the economy.
But
why is it only incumbent upon the workers to accept?
Yes.
Oh, well, you guys are just never gonna get any paid time off. It's crazy.
In my opinion, what should happen again if the government is doing its job? The government's job is to be the bulwark for individuals against large entities, whether that's other governments or big business or whatever. So in this situation, they should have went ham. They should have said, "Hey, listen, if y'all can't figure it out, y'all gonna give them 14 days." And
we also got to give Obama his criticism on this because Obama signed legislation when he was president on federal worker leave policy, which specifically excluded the rail workers.
Yeah,
and so, if Biden, see, this is the same thing I said he should have did about the student debt thing. What he should have did was said, okay, you guys don't want to give them any leave. This is what I'm going to do. Because Biden, unilaterally has the ability to force the rail companies to accept the deal. He should force them to get the same leave as federal employees.
Yeah.
That's what he should do.
And to me, and again, this is that's where I was going with it. No, you force them to do something that's way better than anything they ever could have bargained for themselves because the companies should be like, no, we need to work this out because if the government gets involved,
they're gonna really help you guys.
We're gonna lose our shirts.
Yeah.
But the problem is, one, the railroad companies are very much like in the rooms where these decisions are being made. They're very heavy on the lobbying
with a check,
and they are like obvious about it. And to me, that's the part that's gross. Is like they were telling people, hey, listen, this is what it's gonna be like, and they were locking people out and they were shutting down operations and not letting trains go places to put pressure on officials and be like, hey, this is what it'll be like if they go on strike. You can't let them do that. And the people who are trying to go on strike are like, well, nah, we ain't even done nothing yet. That's them. So
it sucks that and that's the part that sucks, is the fact that the government is supposed to be helping them supporting them.
And
Biden's administration has actually been relatively solid when it comes to labor issues. That's why you've seen so many labor strikes. You see so many labor votes. Amazon, Starbucks, all these companies. Like, it just sucks that this one is the one that they're like.
But this is why being principled is so important.
Yeah.
Because if your principles don't matter when there's a cost, they're not principles.
Right.
You can take
convenience.
them. Exactly. And I think this is the thing that a lot of people sense about politicians that most people don't like. If I'm a politician and I believe something and I tell you, hey, this is the thing that I find important, this is the thing I find valuable, and then when push comes to shove, there's an outcome that I don't like, and I go back on this thing that I told you is a principle of mine, you're like, well, what do I have to judge your future actions on when I can't look at the things you're telling me are important to you and then judge what actions you're going to make based on those things? If you tell me it's important, that you're married, but you're constantly stepping out on your wife, I'm going to be like, well, if that's what you show, if that's how you show that's important to you, I don't think anything's really important to you. And everybody gets that same vibe, especially from Democratic politicians right now, where they're like, listen, you guys talk a big game about how much you care about the worker and the middle class and blah, blah, blah. But when rubber meets the road, y'all make the wrong choice every single time. Every single time, if you got to choose between regular people and a company, y'all choose a company every time. It doesn't matter if the company's wrong. It doesn't matter if the people legitimately are just exercising the rights that they have as individual workers. Because if I was a railroad worker and they made a law that said I couldn't strike, I would just quit.
Yeah,
I would quit.
I wouldn't work. I wouldn't be able. So the thing is, like, for people that might not know, the railroad strike and the railroad workers, they have no paid time off at all.
None
mandatory. You have to work.
And if you can't work,
go months and months and months without a day off, like without a paid day off. They can't get time off to do simple stuff like go to the doctor.
And some of these people have been working.
Doctor's office is open on the weekend.
Bro, no, they're like, hey, if you want time off, you got to schedule it 30 days in advance.
What happens if I get sick today?
And
you can't take off.
Not only that, like sometimes you make a doctor's appointment. You made a doctor's appointment 30 days out. You show up, the doctor's not there because they're sick. Or the doctor, they had a scheduling snafu, so they can't fit you in. So now...
That definitely happens. That happened to me last week.
They'll call you. They'll say, hey, we couldn't fit you in today. Can you come back tomorrow? If you're a railroad worker and this is the only day you could take off,
that's it.
You just don't get...
not going to the doctor.
And I've heard story after story after story. Shout out to like Max Alvarez and a lot of these other people who've been interviewing a lot of these people where they're like, yeah, man, we had a guy who he knew he had a problem with his heart. He knew he needed to go to the doctor and he couldn't get any time off. He ended up dying because he didn't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And that is criminal. That's crazy.
And if you want to hear stories, like good stories that are being like highlighted about corporate greed like that, people being mistreated like that, go to More Perfect Union on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook.
Cool.
More Perfect Union is it's a group that basically highlights. You remember the the Frito-Lay worker, who got electrocuted at work. So this guy basically he was in the military. He got out the military, he went and worked for Frito-Lay at a warehouse, taking care of his family, all that jazz. He basically opened the big door for the trucks, right? Yeah. Got electrocuted.
How?
It's a power door, and something happened.
Something wasn't grounded.
It electrocuted him, and basically this dude can't walk anymore. And they gave him, it electrocuted his spine. They gave him like a day off, and they're calling him like, "Hey, you coming in today, right? No, like workman's comp."
Bro.
They're telling him it was his fault, and like if it wasn't for More Perfect Union. Like his family, like they lost everything. He lost his job. Yeah. He had kids. His wife didn't work.
Yeah.
It was one of the
them and the Real News Network
story. So More Perfect Union. You guys really should check it out. Honestly.
And the Real News Network is another one that's really good.
I've seen them too.
They've done a bunch of stuff. They do a lot of coverage of weird civil forfeiture cases and
civil asset forfeiture.
Where people are just getting their stuff stolen.
Yeah,
they're like,
the cops just
hey, you got $10,000 in cash in the car. That's weird. I think we're gonna take that. We're gonna take this into evidence and check it out, and we'll never see you again. Yeah. So
what's the dude's name that used to work for TYT? Jordan.
Cheriton?
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
He covers a lot of really interesting, smaller, like stories that don't get the.
He's a really good reporter.
Go on Twitter, type in Jordan Cheriton. He's pretty solid. He covered a lot of the water protector strikes when they were doing the Keystone XL pipeline stuff.
And he was breaking a lot of the story about Flint too.
Yeah, he was in Flint for months.
It was like 2 years he was there. So
anyway,
big shout outs to Jordan. Anyway, now that we're done shouting out all our news sources, right?
Some really solid news sources.
Listen, they're good. So, but anyway, back to the point. Like, I think the Democrats really do have a issue right now where, like, they don't have any credibility when it comes to talking about or actually voting about a lot of the things that they talk about.
You know why? They're taking the same money from the same people as the Republicans. So they're doing the same bidding.
I really hope it's just money, bro. Like, if it's money...
You think it's ideological? I don't think that they deserve a couple of days off.
I genuinely think that there are people who don't believe that they deserve those days off.
Yeah. They're called the Republican Party.
No. I think they're Democrats who generally are like, well, I mean, one day is probably enough, right? And the crazy part is they don't right. Well, because they won't say that. And it's really
that's why I don't
think
they believe it.
But this goes back to is it a principle or is it just something you hold until it's hard type thing? Because
I'm sorry.
Pause. I'm sorry. Yeah, listen, you're right. Listen, I did. My bad. You're right.
I mean, whatever you phrase until it's hard is on you, bro.
Problem.
Right.
Okay, my bad. Let's rephrase that. Okay,
whole inconvenience.
Yeah, there you go. Is it a principle or is it born of convenience? Like, I really genuinely feel like everybody's fighting with the squad right now. Oh, y'all shouldn't have voted for that one-day bill. Y'all shouldn't have voted for it. Y'all shouldn't have voted for it. And I think there is the
squad going through it.
Listen,
it's a hard spot to be in where they are because they're getting hit from both sides.
No, it's not a hard place. Well,
they're getting hit from the left because the left wants them to be more left. Right?
No, the left wants them
to hold strong and vote no and block legislation, which they should be doing.
Right,
but they're also getting hit from the mainstream media and the right of the party because they're like, you guys, fall in line. The
problem is
they are getting hit from both sides.
The problem is all they have to do is they have to pick some fights that they're gonna have and stick to those fights.
But
they can't. And I think this is, but I don't even know if I blame them. One, I blame people like Pramila Jayapal because I think they don't have strong leadership, and I think that's like the biggest problem.
That's why I was hoping Nina Turner was gonna win that election.
Yeah, because she was gonna come in and she was gonna really gather them up, and she was gonna be a rah-rah.
Like she would.
But that's why they fought her so hard.
The strategy that I think the left should have done, which is you have to partner with Bernie and Elizabeth Warren in the Senate. You guys have to create a block.
Yeah.
If you don't create a block, nothing you're talking about matters. They have to say, "Oh, we can't do that." Or the left, they're going to stop. They're going to block the whole
Progressive
bill.
Party should be a wedge.
Yeah.
Like what the Tea Party,
the right is,
the Tea Party in the Republican Party is a wedge.
Right.
So all they do is when there's a contentious issue,
or when there's a bill or legislation of any kind.
Because like for the vast majority of things, they're just going to vote the Republican line.
Yeah,
but when there's a wedge issue in the party, when there's like they really care about these specific issues. So if there's a bill that comes up that's like, hey, we want to regulate guns, the Tea Party is going to be like, we're not voting for that. And we're not going to vote for any of these other bills if y'all vote for that. Like, the progressives have to have the opportunities to utilize that kind of pressure, and they're just not doing it because they're
all over the place. They don't have a succinct leader. And the problem is, like...
But that's a Democratic Party problem.
Like because they have effectively divided and conquered. They have.
That's what the party has done, Because
Pramila was on the Bernie side. You had like, I think we're kind of still solid, but like a lot of these people, like you remember when Ayanna Pressley supported Warren and a lot of people were mad at her.
Yeah, but what they did was they, like you said, they separated them all out into these smaller groups.
Yeah,
so like
the left
Elizabeth
is no
Warren,
longer. Oh, it was so strong. One thing that makes me sad, Mike Figueredo, Humanist Report. That's he had posted a video.
You're just gonna shout out everybody today.
Yeah. So he posted a video after the Elizabeth Warren dropped out of 2020. She dropped out.
Yeah.
And in the video, he talked about the way that they were after the night of the first debate when basically Elizabeth Warren and Bernie like got together and bullied everyone else.
Yeah.
And it was like there's a picture of them.
There was magic that
where they were like holding each other.
They
a
were
little bit.
buddy. They were everything was cool. They were
and it was
a
like
team.
The powerhouse that they had of like, and I'm not saying they were gonna win, maybe, but
No,
like the
they could've
powerhouse
won.
that they had of saying, "Hey, we don't have to be Republican like Democrats."
Yeah.
We lost it.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that I really appreciate about Biden as a president so far, from like his public facing image, because like I don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes, right? And I think that there's probably some amount of, hey, I just put competent people in position to, and I tell them, hey, these are the guiding principles, these are the things I want to happen, and this is like roughly the guardrails you need to work within, and then just let them go off and do, good work.
Yeah.
And that seems to be like the model, which I think is why so many things are going so well for him.
I don't know about so well, but some things are going well.
Some things are going really well, and some things are going like okay. So like the way that the military has handled the political part of the Ukraine fight has actually been really, really positive. I think generally they've made moves that were able to kind of skirt the line of being aggressive but being diplomatic and not ever dipping our toes too far in.
And also, I give Biden credit for what he just did in China, where he's kind of trying to
de-escalate, bring the heat down.
Went and met with them.
Yeah,
which I strongly support.
There's a push pull there that has to happen, and I like that's really positive. A lot of the CSPB, I think is it CSPB, the Consumer Protection?
No. CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
They
brought
lot of
them back because Trump basically destroyed them.
Yeah. A lot of their recent stuff has been pretty positive.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is an organization that Elizabeth Warren
actually
created, brought to Obama. Obama did not want to create, but they did. Elizabeth Warren was not even in the Senate yet. She was still a professor and did that.
Yeah.
And it's a organization in the government that basically goes after banks who are defrauding consumers.
And somehow Wells Fargo still continues to
still a bank?
Bro,
like how are they still a bank?
How many times do they get to keep getting caught doing fraud before somebody's like, you know what, maybe this is just a fraudulent company.
If you have money in Wells Fargo,
please take it out.
Take it out.
Please.
Por favor.
Please, stop. Don't give them any more money, okay? They keep using it to sign you up for stuff you didn't want.
They keep getting caught. It's like a dude that keeps cheating on his girl.
No.
But he never gets away with it.
The problem
he gets caught every time.
No, the problem is it's like employees who keep ratting them out because they're like, bro, this is illegal. Y'all can't do this.
Okay, so when I was in college, I did, and I'll end on this. I did a bunch of different presentations on specifically a TYT video
on
where he talked about the guy Charles Stumpf. I think that was his name, the CEO, where Elizabeth Warren was just bodying this guy.
Yeah.
But the thing was, they basically pushed their workers and said, hey, you need to be signing people up for credit cards, for accounts.
Yeah.
And they gave them these quotas.
And
when people don't want it,
like, what am I supposed to do?
I'm going to sign you up anyway.
Right.
I got your information on the phone.
Listen, that's some Suge Knight action right there. Hey. You getting this?
Either
you getting this platinum plan,
or I'm signing you up.
You getting this platinum plan today?
So, Wells Fargo's just the worst. It's the absolute worst.
Yeah,
and they didn't get it. Like, they got a little fine. They paid the fine.
Listen,
they fired the CEO and gave him millions of dollars.
Here's the problem. You know what frustrates me about fines for companies?
Actually, no, he didn't get his golden parachute. He actually didn't get it. I mean, he's still a millionaire already.
He got it by working there. But you know what really frustrates me? I feel like government only understands fines when it comes to regular people.
Yeah.
Like when you get a fine on a ticket, that junk is brutal.
Yeah,
it's like 3 times as much. Or
you mess around and get you a speeding ticket.
Bro.
And they charge you by the mile.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like they make those I feel like they make the punishments for individuals very, very, very painful.
Yeah.
Financially.
I mean, you're so happy with Trump's organization.
But
they're gonna get fined like $1 million or something.
Okay, but that's from New York State, and New York that's a different. Like they do some other stuff up there.
Oh no, that's not the New York one.
Oh, there's another one.
Yes, no, the one that
I thought
they
he got
just
convicted
did was
in
a
New York.
criminal case. Letitia, what's her name? Letitia James, is that her?
In New York? Yeah, the AG.
No, she's doing a civil case. That's a separate case.
Yeah, you're right. Because
Trump just got that was a criminal case, but not against him.
It's against his organization. Yeah, basically saying they stole the money, right?
Yeah,
they were supposed to be for
no.
It was supposed to be for a charity, and they used it for something else.
No, the one that they just got in trouble for was tax fraud. That's the one that just, so it's 14 counts of tax fraud saying, oh, we only made this amount of money. But really, we're getting a loan? Oh, we made this amount of money.
Right. Or our property's worth this much on the taxes and this much on the loan paper.
Right. So that's 14 counts of criminal tax fraud.
Get them.
But the one in New York is a civil case on the kids and on Trump and on the organization.
Well, listen.
They're trying to shut his business down and never let him. I don't know.
And I hope they do, because I think what will happen is, I got to be careful. So I want them to shut it down if it's doing illegal stuff, which I suspect it is. But I always worry when we go on witch hunts for people. Even for people who I know are doing dirt. Let me okay, wait. Let me qualify. Okay. I agree. Trump is a bad example because he's doing all the stuff he said he's doing. He actually did it, okay? It'd be like if it was a witch hunt for OJ, like back in the day, like, a white lady did kind of die in his house.
And he did talk about the fact that he got into a fist fight with a knife in his hand with her brother, the boyfriend.
After the fact, about, hey, I didn't do it, but if I did, this is how I would have done. Like, listen.
Well, shoot, according to the law, he ain't do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Ain't got nothing to do with
jury of his peers found him non-guilty. But
I mean, he did talk about fighting the boyfriend that night with a knife in his hand in an interview.
But that's neither here nor there. Okay, we're not here to relitigate OJ. The point is, like, when you have a witch hunt, even for somebody who seems obviously guilty, there's a lot of opportunity for malfeasance. And, like, that's a thing that I worry about. I don't like it when somebody's unpopular, so we weaponize everything, like, everything around them against them. It's something that I don't care for. Like, Nick Fuentes, I don't like the guy. I think he's pretty deplorable. I think, like, the world,
he's super deplorable.
No, he's a horrendous person. He's managed to make Kanye even worse. Like, I didn't think Kanye needed help with being a horrible, annoying person on camera, because Kanye's always been a very annoying person, like in interviews. Like, he's just very obnoxious.
Yeah. I mean, you remember the whole Beyonce album, Taylor Swift thing?
Yes. Yeah. I do remember that.
He's an obnoxious guy. But now he's a Nazi, so listen, I'm out. I'm sorry.
And the problem is, like, when he's saying stuff like, I like Hitler, I think Hitler's great, the way he's saying it is very much like he got that from a Nick Fuentes.
Yeah. Like, and the thing that drives me nuts, I'm going to keep it real with you, okay? The thing that I've always said about Kanye that pisses me off is the fact that he's completely unread. He doesn't, like,
he's doing
so
Trump.
He says stuff like, oh, well, there's redeeming qualities. Like, bro, you have to, like, actually, like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Right. And that's what triggers me, is people that make authoritative statements, but they don't actually have any study of any kind to back it up.
All he had to do was about maybe an hour of reading to come to a whole different conclusion about what he's talking about.
And I keep saying, has he ever heard what Hitler said about black people?
No.
Like, that's the thing.
It doesn't matter.
Right, anyway.
Because the point he's trying to make is the same point he was trying to make about slaves, which is, oh, listen, like, it's not what you think it is. The prevailing narrative isn't as true as you think it is.
He's on that, to think something else.
He's on that same stuff that Sneeko is on, and that a lot of people that we run into on, where they're like, oh, you don't know the real truth. The real truth is this thing nobody's talking about. You heard a Cryptochronic like this to that, or, some underground super secret, Jewish Nazi cabal where they're lizard people eating babies in the background. Like,
and
that's
like
the
Alex
thing.
Jones says, the frogs are gay.
That's what I'm saying.
Crazy.
So, like, when your whole worldview is predicated on there's a secret that nobody else knows that I know, like, it becomes very difficult for you to claw your way back to something that resembles a reality that everybody else is operating in. And that, I think, is his problem.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to...
He's a lost cause.
Yeah,
at least for now.
No, Kanye's done. I'm done with Kanye.
Yeah. Nah, he need...
I mean, the day you say, I love Hitler...
Right. Not like...
No, I'm out.
Not I'm down with.
You've got Alex Jones looking like the rational one.
Bro.
He's like, I don't like Hitler.
Alex...
I do.
Alex, like, those kids were children actors. No babies actually died. This was all a coup by Obama.
Alex Jones sent nude pictures of his wife. He sent nude pictures of his own wife to Roger Stone.
Why?
Oh, you didn't know that?
Nah.
So in the case where he just got found guilty, his lawyers sent every single content of his cell phone.
Oh, yeah. I just saw them doing the conversation where, like, actually, y'all didn't realize y'all sent us everything. And do you remember when you told us?
Come get it.
And listen, and then they ran him down on everything.
Dude,
he
sent
said.
Nude pictures of his own wife to Roger Stone.
Listen,
it's
some weirdo. Listen, it's some weirdo dudes out here. That's what they do. Yeah. Like they're like, oh, this my lady. Look at her, ha ha ha, and they show other people.
This the last clarification.
If you're doing Alex Jones is, that's weird. That's
Alex
weird,
Jones
bro. Don't do that.
The guy who Kanye West said all the Nazi stuff on his show.
Alex Jones
okay, all right. But some people might not know. So anyway, please, everyone, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Share our videos. Everything is at Pensive Bros Pod on all the socials. All that jazz.
Listen, this has been Pensive Bros Pod. We had a good convo. I'm Elliot.
This is Aaron,
and we are out.